Kamiko Jackson, and today I will be presenting on the Interpersonal Communications Project for HSER 508, Liberty University, October 2012. Next slide. Introduction. What is communication? I will give the definition of enlarging the conversation. I will identify my overarching goals. I will describe how my background and behavioral blend influence my conversation positively and negatively. I will also define potential barriers in my interpersonal context and how I plan to deal with each one. I will also identify and provide solutions to noise pollution, both internal and external. And finally, I will give my plan of action. Next slide. So in reference to communication, what is communication? Communication is best viewed as the continuous, complex, collaborative process of verbal and nonverbal meaning making. So in regards to continuous, for me that's never ending. I don't think that communication will have an end. Complex meaning there are many levels, and then collaborative meaning that there is a team effort. In regards to interpersonal communication, these are labels of communication that happen when the people involved talk and listen in ways that maximize the presence of the personal. Next slide. Communication continued. There are two levels of communication according to Peterson. Level 1 gives and receives information and discusses points of view. Level 2 goes deeper in words. Next slide. Communication continued. Communication means more than just sending messages. Proper communication consists of achieving a fully reciprocal understanding between two or more people, and this is a very complicated process. One person, the sender, has to turn his thoughts or intentions into words, written or oral, which he intends to communicate to the other. In results from my communication skills test, I scored 53%, which was kind of shocking to me because I felt that my communication skills were better or higher than that. Although I was shocked, I was okay with it because it simply means that I need to continue to improve in regards to my communication skills. Because I am in the human services profession, I am a youth ministry leader. I know that my communication must be intact, and simply I just need to work on these areas. Next slide. Enlarging the conversation. For me, enlarging the conversation means being confident and competent in my communication and listening skills. If a person does not present as being confident or competent in communication, then the person receiving the message may not receive it accurately or appropriately. So I think those are key and essential things for enlarging the conversation. Also, accepting feedback from the listening party. Again, it has to be a two-way street where I talk and listen, and then I listen and I talk. Compromising is also a big thing for me for enlarging the conversation. And finally, sharing and caring. Next slide. My overarching goals. My first overarching goal is to make God more visible and audible in my communication with others. Secondly, to listen more empathetically. Empathetic listeners pay attention to the speaker's total communication, the gestures, feelings, underlying thoughts, and motivation. And to also use the talker-listener process effectively in reference to my fiance. I am newly engaged, and in reference to the sharing, negotiating, and closing, specifically for me, the negotiating part is an overarching goal for me. Next slide. My behavioral blend and background. I am the youngest of 4 children. I am the first to graduate from a 4-year university, the first of my immediate family. My mother is a missionary of the church. Both of my parents were blue-collar workers. And in reference to my personality type and my behavior blend, I am the DI or ID, which is determined and inspirational according to Carbonell. I am dominant, I am direct, I am demanding, and I am determined. I like to lead by example, and I have a term that I've pinned to myself that I am a go-getter. I get the job done, and I'm the type of person who just likes to lead to get it done. Next slide. Behavioral blend and how it affects me. Well, again, my behavioral blend definitely affects me positively and negatively. And again, it stems from my upbringing. My upbringing in church. I can do all things through Christ that strengthens me was a scripture that was embedded in me from a child. Also, positive and determined outlook on life. I've always just had a positive and determined outlook on life. I believe again in that scripture that there's nothing impossible for God. And then looking forward to working in leadership roles. God has opened up an avenue that in my career for the last, I would say, 6 years, He's put me in leadership roles wherever I have been blessed to have a job. In negative ways, there is pressure from my family. There is pressure from the church. I always want to succeed and I never want to fail. And realistically, I know that cannot be. I can't succeed in everything. I can always try my best, but I won't always be successful. Feel that everyone looks at me for leadership and guidance. I feel that their expectation of me is to be dominant, is to be powerful, is to be the leader. And sometimes I need that myself. And then it can definitely be stressful to have all of those demands that I feel others have of me. Next slide. Barriers. Perception, reception, and attention are all barriers for me. Paying attention to what only interests me in a conversation has been something that I've worked on tremendously. Refraining from being judgmental, which hinders reception. I've had to work on being judgmental. The word says judge not, and I definitely am no better than anyone else. And also biased listening, treating each conversation as new and refraining from labeling the person from past conversations or incidents. So these are all barriers that I have recognized and that I am continuing to work on in the present. Next slide. What is noise pollution? For me, it's anything that would distract us while engaging in conversation and listening. Like that example of noise pollution. As far as internal noise pollution, I feel that I am sometimes distracted and bothered by my own thoughts and ideas. I hear what I want to hear and I have biased listening. And a personal example of internal noise pollution is, again, hearing what I want to hear. And my solution for this would be to ask the speaker to clarify what he or she is saying. In regards to external noise pollution, those are things that distract a listener from listening, such as loud noises, interruptions, phone calls, views of outside scenery, etc. Others being fidgety or doodling is a pet peeve of mine, and it is a major distraction for me. And my solution would simply be to move to another area or to stop the conversation until both parties are able to engage respectfully. Next slide. So what is my plan of action for my overarching goals? First, I will continue to focus on interpersonal communication. Again, I think that is so key and that is dire for the human services and the counseling professional. And again, in my personal life, that interpersonal communication I know will continue to help my relationship with my fiance evolve. I will remember the definitions learned from the text and this project and apply them to my conversations with others. I will continue to be cognizant of my behavioral blend and how it affects my listening skills and my perceptions of myself, my perceptions of others, how others perceive me. I will just continue to be cognizant of that and work on that. Attempt to avoid noise pollutions. I know my pet peeves and use my plan of actions to work on those. Utilizing the talker listener card, I think would be very beneficial for me. I think that would be something that I can continue to use again in my personal life with my fiance. And lastly, again, to continue to work on my communication with my fiance, with the sharing and the negotiating and the closing. Next slide. I would like to say that this class has been an awesome experience for my personal as well as professional life. I've learned several techniques that will enhance my performance as a human services professional. This course and project have both revealed mind-boggling information about myself that I am forever grateful and indebted for. My prayer is that God will continue to use the gift that He has bestowed upon me to continue to communicate and listen to the masses. Next slide. Thank you.